Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Wrenching on your KLR. Today's topic is going to be how to upgrade the doohickey or the bouncer lever tensioner. A couple things to do before you get started. Grab some soda, turn on the radio, helps you relax a bit. To get started, remove the skid plate. There's a 10mm bolt there and two on the back edge, right there and on the far side. Also, drain the oil because oil sits around in this area. You don't want that all spilling out when you remove this cover. Take off the shift lever. There's one 10mm bolt there, and remove the counter sprocket cover. There's one bolt there, one bolt there. It's on the back side of the shift lever, or behind the shift lever, and there's one right there. After the oil is done draining, make sure you plug in the oil drain again, and once you get the counter sprocket cover off, pull the green, or it should be green if it isn't all covered in crap, wire off the stud and wiggle these wires out from this channel. After you wiggle the wires loose, there are 10 8mm bolts. There's one right there, 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 and there. Basically, just go around this part here and find the bolts. Once the bolts are removed, it's time to pull the case carefully straight out. Don't take the wires out of the channel right here. It's on the side cover. So what you're going to need to do is grab a piece of wire like I have here, and then hang the case from the wire. Remove these two sets of cluster gears, put them in a clean place on a clean cloth, and note which way they go and which gear goes where. After you get the gears in a clean place, put the rotor holder wrench on the rotor and rest it on the highway pegs if you have them, or on the underside of the foot pegs, and use a 19mm socket and a breaker bar and break the rotor bolt loose. It may take quite a bit of work to get the rotor holder bolt out. It was supposed to be torqued to 130 foot-pounds. After you get it out, use the puller. Make sure the ends are greased. Then put your rotor holder wrench on the other side of whatever you used. So if it was on the top of the highway pegs before, be on the bottom. If it was on the bottom of the passenger peg, it would be on the top. That actually looks like it'll be easier. Got the rotor puller all threaded in. It's seated against the crank. If you're using Eagle mics, it's a 19mm socket that you need, and use the breaker bar again. This time you're going to be pushing down this way, going clockwise. After you get the rotor broken loose, turn it so that this keyway is straight up. And then when you pull this off carefully, the Woodruff key on the crank won't fall out and go hiding somewhere. When I tried pulling out the rotor and the starter gear at the same time, something was hanging up. I think it was the Woodruff key here. So I pulled off just the rotor, and that came out. There's a washer right here that you can see. So what I'm going to do next is pull this out carefully, minding the washer. I also pulled out the Woodruff key so that I don't lose it. And there are also two washers, two thick washers here, right there, that stayed on the crank for me. Apparently they often stay on the crank, so just keep an eye out for those, make sure you got them there. Next thing to do is loosen this and take it all the way out. When you take this out, if you have 96 or later, there's a washer right here. You can see it. Make sure you keep that on there. It's not the end of the world if it falls off, just put it back on. Pre-96 does not have the washer yet. Once you get the adjustment bolt out, pull off the doohickey, like yay. And then there are 10 bolts holding the inner side cover on. There's one right here inside the cover, one there, 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 and there. They're all 8 millimeters. Take those out. Yeah. So I got the inner cover bolts out, and so pull the inner cover off. 2 places that it sticks are around the starter motor and down here. When you pull it off, try to keep the cover coming out straight and even, and don't let this eccentric shaft come out with the cover. Keep your thumb on there and push it in. You got the generator cover off, the inner side cover, and there is some spring tension left. However, I'm still going to install Eagle Mike's torsion spring. It looks like this. So to install the torsion spring, it's best if the side cover is out, and you're going to drill a hole right in that area with the supplied drill bit. I got the hole drilled, and I'm going to put it in, check to make sure it fits. Seats all the way down. Looks fine. Of course, it is my first one. I got nothing to base it off of, so that's good. If you're using the torsion spring, take out the stock spring, the coil spring. Don't put in one of the supplied. You only need one spring. However, leave this lever on there to act as a spacer. And if you have pieces of gasket that stuck onto either surface, get a new gasket and clean these off. Put a new gasket on and reinstall the inner case. Once the inner cover is in place, put the bolts in and torque them to 69 inch-pounds. If you're using the torsion spring, make sure you push it all the way in right there. Next, put on the new and improved doohickey, like that, and put in the adjustment bolt. If you are using the torsion spring, loosen the adjustment bolt a bit, push this over, tighten it, and then put this spring into right there. Make sure that these 2 thick washers are oiled and in place, and then install the starter gear. Make sure that the inside is oiled, back side there, front side, and install its washer. Make sure that that's oiled too. Use a clean rag and wipe off the tapered part of the crank right there, and also the inside bore of the rotor. Once you have the Woodruff key installed, put the rotor on and spin the starter gear as you do that so that it seats into these bearings nicely. Got the rotor on, and as you can see, starter gear spins only one way, and then when you try to go the other way, it spins the whole assembly. Use a new rotor bolt and put it in, and then torque it to 85 foot-pounds for now. Then back it out and torque it to 130 foot-pounds. Next, put in the starter gears. This one goes in first. It's got the 2 similarly sized gears, and the small gear goes on the outside. This one goes in next. Smaller gear goes to the inside, and it'll only fit in one way. Next, it's time to put on the gasket and outer cover. If you had leftover gasket parts and pieces along the outside when you took off the cover, get a new gasket and put that on there. Once you get the outer cover back on, it might take a little bit of work working with the magnets right in here. There should be a dowel right there and right there. It helps if those are in the engine, and then you can hang gaskets on those. Might take a little bit of encouragement, just lightly tapping it in various places to get it to seat correctly. Put the outer cover bolts back on and torque those to 69 inch-pounds. Make sure the rubber grommet is on the bouncer lever tensioner adjustment nut. And if you drain the oil, don't forget to fill it back up, or if you're changing to a different brand or weight of oil, change the filter too. And then you should be done with your bouncer lever upgrade. I hope this video helped you with your quest for a better KLR. Please rate and comment on the video, and good luck!